Step back into a time when the wilderness whispered with mystery and the shadow of Bigfoot loomed large. In this dramatized series, we dive into the sightings, encounters, and cultural phenomena that made the 1970s the pinnacle of Bigfoot's legend. From chilling eyewitness accounts to scientific debates and pop culture mania, discover why this decade became known as Bigfoot's Golden Age. In the dim light of a 1970s forest, whispers of a legendary creature grew louder. It was the decade when Bigfoot captivated imaginations and sent shivers down spines. But why did sightings peak in this era? Let's dive into the stories that defined Bigfoot's Golden Age. A surge in sightings. The Pacific Northwest was the epicenter of Bigfoot fever. In 1971, a group of loggers near Mount St. Helens reported terrifying nighttime encounters. According to their accounts, strange howls echoed through the forest, followed by massive footprints discovered in the morning. The tracks measured nearly 16 inches long, far too large for any known animal. By 1974, reports came flooding in from across the United States. In Northern California, a man named Bob witnessed a large, hairy figure crossing a rural road. He described its glowing eyes reflecting in his truck's headlights and the overpowering stench it left behind. Skeptics dismissed it as a bear, but Bob insisted the creature walked upright like a human. The Patterson-Gimlin film's influence. Although filmed in 1967, the infamous Patterson-Gimlin footage gained mainstream attention in the 1970s, fueling interest in Bigfoot. The shaky clip, showing a large, ape-like figure striding through Bluff Creek, was dissected on late-night TV shows and in newspapers. Experts debated its authenticity, but to many, it was undeniable proof. Cultural obsession. The 1970s was also a time when the paranormal and unexplained gained a firm grip on pop culture. TV shows like In Search Of and movies like The Legend of Boggy Creek brought Bigfoot into millions of living rooms. The creature became a symbol of humanity's connection to the untamed wilderness, a mystery that couldn't be tamed by modern science. One particularly chilling story came from a woman in Oregon in 1977. She recounted driving home late one night when a massive, hairy figure stepped onto the road. It turned to look directly at her before vanishing into the forest. The sheer size of the creature, combined with its human-like gait, left her shaken for years. Another account from Pennsylvania involved two teenage boys camping near a state park. They claimed to have been awoken by heavy footsteps outside their tent. Peeking out, they saw a towering silhouette against the moonlit sky. In their panic, they ran to their car, only to find massive claw marks etched into the vehicle's paint the next morning. Not all reports were genuine. The 1970s also saw a rise in hoaxes, with people donning ape suits to perpetuate the myth. These hoaxes muddied the waters, leaving researchers frustrated. However, many credible witnesses, hunters, police officers, and even scientists, stood by their encounters, adding layers of intrigue to the mystery. Some experts speculate that changes in logging practices and urban expansion during the 1970s pushed animals, and perhaps Bigfoot, closer to human settlements. Remote forests, once untouched, became hunting grounds for both loggers and legends. The enduring mystery. As the 1980s approached, Bigfoot sightings waned, but the 1970s remained a defining chapter in the legend's history. It was a time when curiosity peaked, and the line between myth and reality blurred like never before. Do you believe Bigfoot roamed the forest in the 1970s? Or was it all just a product of imagination and cultural fascination? Keep watching for some interesting Bigfoot encounters from the 1970s. We begin with Encounter 1, Bigfoot Encounter near Ocheyedan River, date August 26, 1976. Author M. Hall, Osceola County Tribune. 13-year-old Dan Redunce of Ocheyedan experienced a chilling encounter Sunday morning, claiming to have seen a creature resembling the legendary Bigfoot along the banks of the Ocheyedan River. Dan was riding in his family's car around 9:30 a.m. when he spotted the creature, a 6-foot-tall, hairy figure with an oval-shaped head. It was standing by the river, its back turned to us, and it seemed to be sipping water from its hands, Dan recounted. Shocked and frightened, he remained silent during the drive but later revealed the sighting to his family. The following day, Dan, his mother, and a family friend discovered large footprints in the area. Measuring 14 inches long and 7 inches wide, the prints were spaced about 6 feet apart, with impressions up to an inch deep. Osceola County Sheriff Bob Roelfs and Deputy Bill Koopman examined the scene, but withheld comments pending further investigation. Encounter 2. A mother defends her son's Bigfoot sighting. Date, August 27, 1976. Author, letter to the editor. In response to the Osceola County Tribune's coverage of her son's Bigfoot sighting, Mrs. Redunce expressed frustration over the article's tone. She criticized the paper for not interviewing her son directly, stating that his story was treated dismissively. "Our son saw what he said he did," she wrote. "It's easy to laugh off things we don't understand, but Danny was quiet and worried after the sighting. The footprints we found the next day were in the exact spot he described, and the sheer size and depth of the prints make a hoax unlikely." Mrs. Redunce urged readers to take her son's experience seriously and to consider the possibility of the unexplained. Encounter 3. 2 hairy creatures spotted in San Antonio neighborhood. Date, September 2nd, 1976. Author, TPI correspondent. Residents of a Southside San Antonio neighborhood reported sightings of 2 large, hairy creatures, prompting calls to wildlife officials. Ed Olivari described the first creature as a 7-foot-tall, brown-haired figure that moved awkwardly on 2 legs. Shortly after, Mrs. Rosa Medina claimed to see a similar creature sitting on her back step. "It sprinted away when I tapped on my window," she said. Local authorities are investigating but have not confirmed the sightings. Encounter 4. Marietta resident witnesses, Sasquatch by garage. Date, September 2nd, 1976. Author, Houston Chronicle. Late Tuesday night, a Marietta resident reported encountering a Sasquatch near his garage. The man, who wished to remain anonymous, described a husky, black, 7-foot-tall figure standing near his chicken coop. After honking his horn, the creature shuffled into nearby woods. Officers investigating the area found no physical evidence due to the hard ground and lack of dew. The witness remains firm in his account despite skepticism. Encounter 5. Bigfoot. Sighted along the Ocheyedan River. Date, August 28, 1976. Author, Osceola County Tribune. Dan Redunce's sighting of a 6-foot-tall hairy creature along the Ocheyedan River has sparked debate in the local community. The footprints found at the scene matched Dan's description and measured 14 inches long with a width of 7 inches. While some residents attribute the sighting to imagination or hoaxes inspired by recent Bigfoot movies, others point out the possibility of a genuine encounter. Sheriff Robert Rolfs continues to investigate, with no conclusions reached so far. Encounter 6. A quiet encounter in Oregon's wilderness. Date, August 1st, 1976. Author, Thomas Love, Washington Star. One June evening in Oregon's Mount Jefferson wilderness, Al, a stressed professional seeking respite, encountered what he believes was Bigfoot. The creature, approximately 150 yards away, squatted silently, watching him for nearly 45 minutes. When I tried to take a picture, the flash scared it, and it walked away slowly, Al recalled. Despite staying at the campsite for 2 more nights, he didn't see the creature again. Al later left apples at the spot for weeks, finding them gone along with the box they were placed in. No animal would carry off a whole box, he said. Al remains convinced that Bigfoot exists, though he fears someone may shoot the creature in the future. Encounter 7. Natchez warms up to Bigfoot stories. Date, January 20th, 1977. Author, Democrat, Natchez, Mississippi. In the quiet neighborhood of Irving Lane, the sighting of a huge, hairy creature on Monday night has sparked fear, curiosity, and debate among residents. Armed with shotguns, some residents ventured into the nearby marsh Tuesday, determined to drive away whatever had unsettled their community. Natchez police, overwhelmed by calls from concerned citizens, redirected inquiries to the news media. Meanwhile, others who initially hesitated to share their experiences began coming forward with their own stories of encounters with the mysterious creature. Dorothy Abraham, a resident of Irving Lane, recounted her chilling experience. On Monday night, she was sitting on her bed when her dog began to growl. Moments later, a large shadow crossed her window. It was a huge black something, she said, describing how the creature slowly backed away into the trees, growling deeply, like something trying to catch its breath. Despite her fear, Mrs. Abraham said she wasn't ashamed to have her name associated with the sighting. "I was only frightened," she admitted. Assistant Chief of Police Charlie Bahan acknowledged the confusion at the department, explaining that calls were supposed to be limited to reading the initial report. "We don't know the answer to what the thing was," he said, "but we are trying to find out." Residents and their friends combed through the marsh, searching for signs of the creature. One searcher reported reaching a cave, but finding nothing. "We may need ropes to get to the other one," she said. Whether they will find anything remains uncertain, but Bobby Cawthon, a local hunter, warned that the creature should not be taken lightly. Though he has not seen it, Cawthon claimed to have heard its terrifying sounds. It starts off growling, then becomes a howl. "It's the most lonesome, awful sound you ever heard," he said, adding that his hunting dogs, unafraid of bears, would whimper and retreat when they heard the creature's call. Cawthon also spoke of unusual footprints found on Deeble's Sandbar, an island 5 miles south of Natchez. The tracks, described as upright, were discovered last summer by oil roughnecks who fled the island after hearing the creature's eerie sounds. "They left all their equipment behind and didn't go back until the next morning," Cawthon said. The island, known for spooked cattle, has seen increased hunting activity, which Cawthon believes may have scared the creature away. Trapper Sam Corley confirmed that his son and a friend spotted large tracks on Sandy Creek 6 months ago. While they couldn't identify the prints, talk of a mysterious creature circulated at the time. County Agent Charles Wells, who once heard a chilling sound in the area, suggested it might have been a panther. Game Warden Garland Newman agreed, noting that panthers, though rare, are present in the region. Newman recently spotted one weighing about 100 pounds. However, Newman and his colleague Jay Weisner also considered the possibility of a bear. Black bears, which are harmless and nomadic, occasionally wander through the area, sometimes going years between sightings. Still, Dorothy Abraham was adamant. "Whatever I saw was not a bear," she insisted. "It was much too large." Residents remain on high alert, wary of both the mysterious creature and potential curiosity seekers who could exacerbate their fears. "It's bad enough with this thing," one woman said, "but we've got guns here now. We have to live here." For now, the Irving Lane community is left to grapple with their fears and the unknown, as they wait for answers about the shadowy figure that disrupted their quiet lives. Natchez creature sightings and the hairy man of Vergas. The mysterious, large, hairy creature that has captured the attention of Natchez residents continues to spark discussions and investigations. Sightings of similar creatures have been reported in other states, including Arkansas and California, according to a local zoo director who has studied such phenomena. The director, who underlined that he under no circumstances plans to harm the creature, has expressed plans to carry equipment to create plaster casts of any footprints he might find during his search. The commotion began on Monday when Irving Lane residents reported a large, hairy creature, well above 6 feet tall, near their homes. Responding officers discovered footprints or scrapings on the cold ground and freshly broken branches in the area. Residents and their friends took matters into their own hands on Wednesday, venturing into the dense undergrowth to scare away whatever had been lurking nearby. Meanwhile, a group of heavily armed adventurers combed a 60-acre area bordered by Government Fleet Road and the Mississippi River, which some believe may be hiding the elusive Bigfoot-type creature. While Natchez deals with its own mysterious sightings, tales of another enigmatic figure, the hairy man of Vergas, have been circulating for decades. This legend, hailing from the wilderness between Vergas and Frazee, has become a local curiosity. According to a story shared by a local resident, a young man and his girlfriend had a strange encounter in the area late at night. After their car mysteriously stalled, they heard loud noises coming from the hood. To their shock, they saw a figure resembling a man covered in hair jumping up and down on the car. The startled driver quickly restarted the engine, and the figure leapt to the ground and disappeared into the darkness. When the shaken couple later stopped at a local sportsman's center to recount their experience, other patrons laughed until they saw the dented hood of the car in the parking lot. Unfortunately, the young man has since moved away, leaving little opportunity for follow-up on his story. Another tale about the hairy man suggests he might be a disowned son who took up residence beneath a family porch, clothing himself in fur and roaming the wilderness in search of food. Some say he carries an axe, and those passing through the area have reported finding axe marks on their vehicles. Tracks left in the snow and sand often appear to lead back into the woods. These stories date back to the 1940s, with some reports as recent as 5 years ago. Curious locals often venture into the area, noting its breathtaking scenery. One explorer described finding a building covered in messages addressed to the hairy man of Vergas. The fascination with creatures like the Natchez Bigfoot and the hairy man of Vergas continues to thrive, blending elements of folklore, local history, and first-hand accounts. As the zoo director, residents, and adventurers pursue answers, one thing is certain: these tales will keep imaginations alive for years to come. Is that Bigfoot above Scott's Mills? Appeal Tribune, Silverton, Oregon, December 23, 1976. By Dave Bielenberg. Scott's Mills. Could the enormous 18-inch man-like footprints spotted in this area belong to the elusive Bigfoot? Dennis and Debbie Burden, of Route 2 in Malala, believe they may have found evidence of the creature. On December 8th, as the first snow of the season blanketed the mountains, the Burdens, along with another couple, decided to take their four-wheel drive pickup for a nighttime ride up Sawtell Road towards Panther Rock. The location, about 2 miles east of Dorgan's and 10 air miles above Scott's Mills, seemed perfect for a snow adventure. "We just wanted to check out the snow, maybe play around a bit," Dennis said. It was the first snowfall, so we headed towards Panther Rock around 8 p.m. The snow was about 8 inches deep. As they drove, the group noticed numerous deer tracks and what they initially thought were bear tracks. But a closer inspection revealed something unusual. This thing was 2-footed, 3-toed, with giant 4-foot strides, Debbie recounted. The tracks came down a steep bank, crossed the road, and left impressions 6 to 8 inches deep in the fresh snow. Excited and puzzled, the group decided to return home to grab a camera and tape measure. However, when they shared their discovery with friends, their story was met with disbelief. Determined to document the tracks, they returned to the site around 10 p.m. Although the snow had started to fill in the footprints, they were still visible. "Our own footprints sank about 3 inches into the snow," Debbie said, "but this thing's tracks were as deep as our pickup's tires, about 8 inches. Measuring the tracks, they found them to be 18 inches long, 7 inches wide, and spaced 4 feet apart. By then, the snowstorm had turned into near blizzard conditions, forcing them to leave the mountain before they became stranded. As they turned their truck around about a quarter-mile further up the road, they made another startling discovery. Returning to the original spot where their truck had been parked, they found fresh tracks, giant footprints, circling the area. We didn't stop to take more pictures," Debbie admitted. "We just wanted to get off that mountain as fast as we could. We nearly went over the steep bank trying to get down the road," Dennis added. "We saw plenty of deer tracks about a mile away from the big ones, but there were no other tracks within a half-mile radius of the big ones. It gave me a thrill. I've never given much thought to Bigfoot, but something made those tracks." In the days following the sighting, several local residents reported strange behavior in their animals, particularly dogs. According to witnesses, the dogs were howling both day and night. Frank Shepard, a government trapper in the area, explained that he had received complaints of dogs howling all over the county. He speculated that the animals might be reacting to high-pitched sonar noises from the Portland airport, sounds inaudible to humans. However, when asked about the Burden's findings, Shepard admitted he had never seen tracks of that size and shape. "I'm aware of Bigfoot and the many stories surrounding it," he said. "Whether the tracks near Scott's Mills were evidence of Bigfoot or just an unusual set of circumstances, the Burden story has left the community buzzing with curiosity and wonder. Could this be another chapter in the enduring mystery of Bigfoot? You be the judge. Thank you for joining us on this journey through Bigfoot's golden age and the unforgettable stories of the 1970s. If you enjoyed these tales of mystery and intrigue, please like and subscribe for more stories just like this.